Hi, I'm Sammy, and I'm going to be reading Delilah. I'm weird. Everyone says so. I suppose it's because while other 15-year-olds are talking about the best lip gloss and which movie star is hotter, I would rather be curled up with a book. Seriously, have you been to a high school lately? Why would anyone sane want to interact with Cro-Magnon hockey players or run a gauntlet of mean girls? I'd much rather pretend I'm somewhere else, and any time I open the pages of a book, that happens. My mom worries about me because I'm a loner, but that's not entirely true. My best friend Jules totally gets me. Jules and I have no secrets. I know that she is addicted to soap operas, and she knows that my mother is a cleaning lady. There's only one thing I haven't told Jules, and that's the fact that for the past week, the reason I've avoided her is that I'm embarrassed by my choice of reading material. A fairy tale written for elementary school kids. If you read Dostoevsky, you're weird but smart. If you read comic books, you're weird but hip. If you read a fairy tale, you're just a dork. It's about a prince, Oliver, who goes on a quest to rescue a princess who's been taken hostage. The problem is that Oliver isn't a big fan of taking risks. His father died in battle, and as far as he's concerned, it's far better to be safe than sorry. I think that's what made me keep reading. The very first thing you learn about Oliver is that it wasn't easy growing up without a dad. It was as if the words had been taken straight from my mouth. My father had not died in battle, but he left my mother when I was 10 years old. She cried every night that year. I was a straight-A student, not because I loved school, but because I didn't want to be one more person who disappointed my mother. True confessions time, Oliver is cuter than any guy in my school. Granted, he is two-dimensional and illustrated. Don't judge me. Go take a look at Wolverine in an X-Men comic and tell me he isn't hot. With his black hair and pale eyes, it seems that Oliver is smiling up from the page directly at me. That first week, I read the book so often that I memorized the words. I knew the layout of the pictures on the pages. My mother worried. Why was a girl like me, who could easily read 1,000-page adult novels, obsessed with a children's book? I knew the answer to that. Not that I was about to admit it to anyone. Prince Oliver understood me better than anyone in the world. True, I'd never met him, and true, he was a fictional character, but he also was what people needed him to be. A dashing hero, a peacemaker, a cunning escape artist. Then again, Prince Oliver had never existed anywhere but on a page. He didn't know what it was like to be stuffed into a locker by the cheerleading squad and left there until some janitor heard me yelling. Today, I decide, is going to be different. First thing, I'm going to return the book to the library. In my English journal, I'll write down that I've been reading The Hunger Games for my outside reading requirement, like 98% of the 9th grade. I'll tell Jules that we should go to the Rocky Horror Marathon at the Cheap Theater this weekend. Then, in earth science, I'll finally get enough courage to go talk to Zach, my vegan lab partner, who insists on feeding tofu to the class Venus flytrap. Yes, today is the day everything is going to change. The fairy tale is still sitting on my nightstand where I left it. This must be what an addict feels like, I think. My fingers itch toward the binding, and finally, I just grab the book. But this time, something feels wrong. Delilah, my mother yells, I told you twice already, we're going to be late. I flip through the book to the final page. When I see it, I can't believe I haven't noticed it before. Just to the left of Princess Seraphima's gown, drawn in the sand, is a grid. Sort of like a bingo chart or a chessboard. How strange, I say softly. That was never here before. Delilah Eve! When my mother uses my middle name, it means she's really angry. I close the book and tuck it into my backpack and hurry downstairs. My mother is rinsing her coffee cup as I grab a slice of toast. Mom, I ask, have you ever read a book and had it change? She looks over her shoulder. Well, sure. The first time I read Gone with the Wind and Rhett walked out on Scarlet, I was 15 and thought it was wildly romantic. The second time I read it, I thought she was silly and he was a selfish pig. That's you changing, not the book. Imagine that you've read a story hundreds of times and it always takes place on a ship. And then one day you read it and it's set in the Wild West instead. That's ridiculous, my mother replies. Books don't change in front of your eyes. Mine did. She turns and looks at me. You need to get more sleep, Delilah. The whole way to school, my backpack sits on my lap. Our car pulls up in front of the building. Have a good day, my mother says. I hurry past a kid plugged into his earphones and the popular girls who cluster together like grapes. Honestly, do you ever see just one of them? The school's current it couple, Brianna and Angelo, or Brangelo as they're known, are wrapped in each other's arms across my locker. I'm gonna miss you, Brianna says. I'm gonna miss you too, baby, Angelo murmurs. For Pete's sake, it's not like she's leaving on a trip around the world. She's only headed to homeroom. I don't realize I've said that out loud until I see them both staring at me. Get a life, Brianna says. There's a crash on the metal of the locker beside mine, and I look up to see Jules smacking her hand against it to get my attention. Hey, Jules says, where'd you go last night? I sent you 1,000 texts. I hesitate. I've hidden my fairy tale from Jules, but if anyone is going to believe me when I say that a book changed before my eyes, it's going to be my best friend. I have to tell you something. I was reading this book and it sort of changed. I totally understand, Jules says. The first time I saw Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, I knew my life was never going to be the same. No, I reach into my backpack and grab the fairy tale, flipping to the last page. Look, Prince, yep, standing right where he usually is. Princess, ditto. From Wagon Happily. Chessboard, it's missing. Delilah, Jules asks, are you okay? I can feel myself breaking out into a cold sweat. I close the book and then open it again. I blink fast to clear my eyes. Nothing. I have to go, I say to Jules, shoving past her as the bell rings. I don't stop until I reach the locker rooms. I know it will be empty this early in the morning. Sitting down on a bench, I take the book from my backpack. Real fairy tales are not for the faint-hearted. In them, children get eaten by witches and chased by wolves. Women fall into comas and are tortured by evil relatives. Somehow, all that pain and suffering is worthwhile, though, when it leads to the ending, happily ever after. Suddenly, it no longer matters if you've got a B- on your midterm in French, or if you're the only girl in school who doesn't have a date to the spring formal. Happily ever after trumps everything. But what if ever after could change? There's still no chessboard on the sand. I start flipping through the pages. In most of them, Prince Oliver is in the company of someone or something. His dog, the villain Rapscalio, Princess Seraphima. But there's one illustration where he's all alone. Actually, it's my favorite. Oliver is looking up the cliff wall at the tower where Seraphima is being imprisoned. In the picture on page 43, he starts to climb. He's drawn in color, his black hair ruffled by the breeze, his arms straining as he scales the sheer rock face. His bottle green tunic is tattered. His dagger is clenched between his teeth so that he can grasp the next ledge. His face is turned toward the ocean where the ships slip into the distance. I lean forward until my nose is nearly touching the page. The image blurs as I get close, but I'm positive that Oliver's eyes have flickered away from the ocean and toward me. I wish you were real, I whisper. The school bell rings. That means homeroom is over, and I have to go to algebra. With a sigh, I set the fairy tale down on the bench and gasp. Oliver is still climbing the sheer rock wall, but the dagger clenched between his teeth is now in his right hand. Its sharp tip scratches the faintest of white lines into the granite, and then another, and a third. This is not a Nook, a Kindle Fire, or an iPad, just a very ordinary old book. Drawing in my breath, I touch the paper. 2 words slowly appear on the surface of the rock wall. Help me.